Most sales reps struggle handling objections, losing deals that they should have closed. But I've been able to close over $3 million in high-ticket sales using one simple objection handling framework I'm going to share with you in this video. I'm going to show you exactly how it works, why it's different from everything else that you've heard about before, and how you can use it to start closing more high-ticket deals and become a really good high-ticket closer. By the way, my name is Alex. I went from being a broke and lost high school student to closing over $3 million personally. And I make these videos to help others get into high-ticket sales. If you want to learn from me directly, you always have the option to book a call with me down below the video. And the framework I'm going to share with you in this video, it's not just theory. It's something that I've personally used to sell over $3 million personally. And I've used this exact framework to sell offers ranging from $3,000 up to over $25,000, both B2C and also B2B. And I've also taught this to hundreds of sales reps and also entire sales teams, allowing them to see their closing rate literally skyrocket almost overnight. So first off, we need to understand why most salespeople struggle to handle objections. And there are three main reasons behind that. And the funny thing is that these three things have very little to do with what you say, and it's way more about how you say it. Number one, most salespeople get an objection and all of a sudden they get super defensive. They get an objection and it changes their entire state, they get irritated, annoyed, and the objection handling turns into almost like argument. It gets combative with the prospect, ends up not closing the deal because of that. They end up in this back and forth with the prospect because they expect the person to just buy without any objection. The prospect has an objection, the salesperson gets annoyed and frustrated, and they're not able to just get to the root of the objection. They start like kind of pushing them and trying to force them to buy, and end up losing the deal because of it. And the second reason is that most salespeople, instead of genuinely trying to understand the prospect's objection and understand why they're unsure about you moving forward and taking the step, they've been watching all this content from different sales gurus and have all of these like one-liner objection handles and these different word tracks that they've memorized, and they just use those whenever they get an objection. Instead of trying to understand the person, they just using these memorized tracks, just running through textbook objection handle, and end up losing deals because of that. So instead of truly understanding the person, understanding their objection, they just put in this objection handle that they've learned on it and just hoping that's going to fix the problem. And it doesn't work. And the third mistake that salespeople make is they sound way too desperate. They have this like needy tonality, commission breath is what we call it. They sound like they need the sale desperately, which kills your entire frame, because your goal as a closer, you want to sound like the leader. You want to lead the person throughout the process of making a decision. But if you sound like you desperately need them to buy, the trust is going to be completely killed with the prospect. They're not going to trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So this is a massive mistake, is sounding desperate and sounding like you desperately need them to buy and almost getting kind of like frustrated when you're not moving forward. It makes you completely lose your authority and your ability to close the deal. So those are the three main mistakes I see closers make when it comes to handling objections. Now I'm going to give you the actual framework for how to do this properly and how to close deals almost effortlessly. But before we get into that, you need to start looking at objections in the right way. So I want to shift the way that you look and the mindset that you have when approaching objections. Realize, number one, that your state as a salesperson cannot change when you get an objection. You need to be an oak tree, grounded deeply in the soil, and not move and not change your state, not get upset, mad, frustrated, desperate, any of those things when you get an objection. Start expecting to get at least 1 to 2 objections at the end of every single sales call that you're on, and that's going to allow you to keep your state the same when you get an objection. The worst thing you can do is change and get flustered when you get an objection. You need to be steady and very stoic in yourself and just grounded, because otherwise the prospect will sense that your state changes when they give an objection and they're not going to react positively to that. You need to stay grounded, stay calm, and be able to guide the prospect to making a good decision while staying calm and relaxed. Also realize that most objections stems back to just uncertainty. If you can just bring up the person's certainty from maybe being like let's say a 5 out of 10 certain on the program being the right thing to like 8, 9 out of 10, they will move forward. So your main focus when you get an objection is just to make sure the person is actually certain about the program before handling anything else. That's the main thing, is just bringing up certainty. When you do that, you will end up closing deals. And the way that you actually do that is understanding that every single objection should be treated like a mini discovery, okay? Instead of treating an objection like, okay, this person needs to think about it, I'm going to tell them that no, you should not think about it, because thinking about it is something that broke people do, and rich people and successful people are action takers. Instead of doing that like BS objection handle that's so overused and that doesn't work at all, your focus with every single objection needs to be to understand the person, okay? None of these reframes or word tracks that you learn from your favorite coach will actually work unless you truly understand what the real objection is, okay? The way you do this is by treating every single objection like a mini discovery, okay? So when you get an objection, you start asking questions, you start digging deeper, and like really just ask questions until you fully understand what this person is unsure about, why they want to think about it, why they want to talk with their spouse, like what's actually the root cause for this objection. If you do this closing becomes easy, you know, because when you truly understand the deeper reason for why they want to wait or why they want to push it off or whatever it is, it's super easy to handle. But the reason why you're losing deals right now is because you're handling like the surface level objection, not handling like the real root cause. And that's very hard to do, because when you handle like this, the surface level thing, you don't actually know if you're handling the right thing or not. You might end up doing like a 20-minute objection handle and then still not closing the deal. But if you just take the time to ask more questions, you get deeper, you will figure out exactly what it is, and you can shift the prospect's belief very quickly around that one thing and then close the deal. So that's how I want you to be looking at objection handling. And I want to give you the actual framework to handle objections at the highest level, to be able to close at over 50% on your sales calls, both B2B and B2C. So first off, understand the structure of how to handle objections, okay? When you get to the end of the call, when you've dropped price and you get whatever objection you get, the first thing you need to focus on is not about going into handling a spouse objection or handling, I need to talk with my partner, or it's not the right time right now, or it's too expensive, I don't have the money, you know? Your focus before handling any objection is to make sure that this person is 100% sure that my solution, whatever program, service that you're selling right now, is exactly what they want to do and is the best solution for them to go from where they are to their goal. That is like your number one priority above everything else. You need to make sure right away, whenever you get any type of objection, that this person actually thinks that this is the right solution for them. Because most of the time when someone says it's too expensive, or they want to talk with their spouse, or it's not the right time, or whatever it is, those objections actually just mean that they're unsure about the program. They're uncertain. Okay, think about it yourself. Like, if you were 100% sure that this solution that you had, like this medicine could cure like a disease that you've been struggling with for a long time, would you wait taking that? No. Would you go and talk with someone else before you take it? No. Would you use the last penny that you had in your bank account to pay for it? Of course. So stop taking these objections at face value and handling whatever objection that they give you, and instead start focusing on creating certainty. Objection handling becomes so much easier when you focus on actually getting them certain, because what happens if you do this, let's say that your prospect tells you that they want to talk with their partner, you know? You start handling this like straight on, like don't talk with your partner, make this decision on your own, blah, blah, blah. But the person is not actually certain about the solution being the right thing. Then it becomes very combative. Like you're trying to like push them into doing something that they don't really want to do themselves, you know? And it becomes combative, you're probably not going to close them. However, on the other hand, if you actually focus on getting them to tell you that I 100% want to do this program, I'm certain I want to do this, other than talking with my spouse, I am 100% in, then it becomes way more cooperative. Then you and the prospect are on the same side of the table, and you're kind of sitting here on the same side of the table and handling the objection that's on the other side. That's like the enemy for both of you guys. It becomes way more cooperative, and you will end up closing the deal when they actually tell you that, hey man, I want to do this. It's just a matter of like this thing that I need to figure out first. I need to get the money sorted out. I need to just get my spouse permission to get the money to do it, you know? Everything becomes so much easier when you're actually on the same side of the table with them, and you're cooperating towards the objection, towards fixing it, instead of like trying to like just close them with like your one-liners and not really like understanding what's actually going on with them. Objection handling, it's all about increasing their certainty. If you can do this, you will close most of your deals by getting their certainty up to a higher level. So focus on handling that. The way you do this is by making sure that every single prospect, whatever objection they give you, you ask them, okay, that objection, whatever it is aside, how do you feel about the program? How do you feel about the service? Do you feel like this is the right thing that's going to get you from where you are to your goal, or how do you feel? And you ask them again, okay, cool. So objection aside, are you 100% sure you want to do this? Okay, super, super important. You need to get a tie down, because when you ask that, they're probably going to tell you like, yeah, I'm actually a bit unsure about this. And you handle that objection. But if you skip this part and you just go straight to whatever objection they give you, you will miss and you will not close the deal. Okay, this is why you're losing deals right now. But this is what it all stems down to. If you can just do this and make sure you handle uncertainty before anything else, your sales costs are going to get so much better, and you will end up closing so much more deals. And the second part of this framework is something that I learned from a mentor that's closed multiple 8 figures in high ticket sales. Absolute beast when it comes to closing. And what that is understanding that every single person that you talk to on a sales call, every single person in life, like everyone that's out there, at the end of the day, sales is something that you do on a daily basis. It's all about like just understanding how humans work. Anyway, so the point is that every single person out there, we always, as humans, we always do what we think is in our best interest to do. Okay, that's like a basic fundamental thing. It seems pretty like obvious, but it's important to understand as a salesperson. Every single human being, they always do what they think is in their best interest. Okay, what that means is that when someone tells you on a sales call, when you got them past like the uncertainty and like these type of things, someone tells you that like, yeah, I genuinely want to wait 24 hours before I do this, or I genuinely need to talk with my spouse, or I genuinely don't have the money to do this, you know? It all stems back to them having the belief, like they hold the belief deep down because of their experiences, because of how their life has been up until this point. The decisions that they've made earlier in their life has led them to a point where they think that thinking about it, or talking to their spouse, or not making a decision today is the right thing for them to do, is the thing that's going to be in their best interest to do, okay? So just understand this. It's super important to understand. When you understand this, you can approach objection handling from a more curious standpoint. So someone tells you when you think about it, instead of just, okay, you don't need to think about it, you just do this right now. If you come at it from a curious perspective, you'll probably try to, like, you would want to figure out, okay, what has this person experienced in their life? Maybe like a past program that they bought, something that didn't work out in the past, maybe some limiting beliefs that they hold, or like a way of making decisions that's not serving them. You want to figure out, like, what is that this person has that's not serving them right now, that's making them feel like this is the right thing for them to do. If you approach objection in this way, it becomes super easy, because you treat every single objection like a discovery. You dig into it, you figure out what does this person need to believe to be true in order to want to take X, Y, and Z action. And I've had calls where I literally just use this framework, and it's so effective. I had guys that, hey man, I want to think about it, I don't want to make a decision right now. They're completely like closed down to doing anything, and instead of just trying to close them, I dig in, I ask questions, figure out what's going on, like what have they experienced in the past, why does this person feel like they want to wait, you know? And I would literally just ask people like, okay, God man, no worries at all. I'm just curious, like what makes you feel like waiting 24 hours is the best thing for you to do? And they happily tell you, you know, when you're just curious and genuine and grounded. And I had people tell me like, yeah, I bought a program in the past, I made a quick decision because it seemed super great, and it ended up not working out, I got scammed, you know? And then you just understand the person, you just realize, okay, this guy, he has attached the fact that he made a quick decision in the past to the program not working out. When in reality, the fact that it didn't work out was not because he made a quick decision. The fact that it didn't work out was because he made a bad decision. He made an uninformed and didn't have all the clarity before deciding, okay? And when I help him understand that and just reframe his way of thinking, reframe his beliefs around decision making, and like making a fast decision is not bad, it's actually making an uninformed decision. I figured out what information that he would have needed to have before making a decision, figured out that he actually had that information about our offer and knew that this was actually different from what he tried in the past, and I ended up closing the deal. Just because I understood him and I dug in, and I treated the objection like a discovery, and came in with the intention to just understand him and why he wanted to think about it, what beliefs he held, and I was able to handle it very simply by doing it. So use this on your next sales call. I promise you it's gonna make closing so much more fun, so much more simpler, and objection handling becomes a walk in the park when you actually implement this in the right way. If you want my help one-on-one to master this framework, be able to close more high-ticket deals and get into a good high-ticket sales role where you can make 5 to 10K per month, click the link below, book a call, and we'll chat, and I'll see if I can actually help you out with my one-on-one coaching. If you have any questions, or just want to chat, message me on Instagram. I'm happy to reply to your DM and just give you some value over there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.